Now let's try the full foot treatment. Remember, you can use the large soft and the small soft balls. You don't need to use either of the firm balls. I'm going to do that in this sequence, but remember, you can stick to just using the soft balls if that's where you're at today. Let's start with our body scan assessment and our autopilot assess. Look down at your feet, line them up side by side, bring your arms at your side, and close your eyes. Take a focused breath and give yourself permission to go into your body and sense what you feel. Notice the right and left foot. Notice if it feels like you've got more weight on your right foot or your left foot, or if you're noticing a region of either of your feet more pronounced on the floor. Take a focused breath and scan up your legs. Notice if you're clenching any muscles in your thighs or your butt cheeks, or if your knees feel like they're locking out. See if you can relax any muscles that are unnecessary to keep yourself standing right now. Draw your awareness back down to your feet. Even though you know your feet are side by side, notice if it feels like one foot is stepping in front of the other. That's what we call autopilot inefficiency, and it's simply saying your autopilot's having a hard time identifying where your center of gravity is today. Let's try to challenge our autopilot to reacquire its connection. Lift all 10 toes off the ground. Take a focused breath and challenge your autopilot to send frequency and vibration throughout every joint of your body. Take a focused breath, and on an exhale, drop all 10 toes to the ground. Notice if your body drifts. Open up your eyes. Remember, if you feel your body drifting, it's just simply saying your autopilot's having a hard time bringing vibration through all of the joints, and that's showing signs of stuck stress. Let's all start our treatment with the large soft ball and position point pressing. Let's bring the ball under position point number 1 at the center of our foot and begin to shift your body weight left and right to identify tolerable pressure and give your autopilot time to adapt to the compression. Notice if your hands go right to your hips. Don't help your autopilot identify where your center of gravity is by touching your center of gravity. Keep your hands off your body. Find your tolerable place that you can sustain your compression, and let's help the autopilot reacquire its connection to your center of gravity by moving our joints around our center. Take a nice focused breath as you do it, and come back to center. Take your left foot and step backward, and let's start at position point number 2. Create gentle compression, take a focused breath, and then decompress. Try to find your second knuckle. Same thing, create straight down compression, and decompress. Remember, for as long as it takes you to take a breath in and a breath out is as long as you keep compression on any point. Each point only gets one pressure, and then release it. Get to the fifth knuckle, right underneath the pinky toe, and create gentle compression. And then let it go. Let's try to find position point 3A underneath the inside arch of the foot. Take a focused breath, and then decompress. Go to the upper number 3B and create compression. Take a focused breath and decompress. Let's try to find position point number 4 on the outside arch of our foot, halfway between the pinky toe and the heel, and then release and go to position point number 5 and create compression. Decompress 50% of your body weight so you're balanced on both feet, and let's go right for our glide. Remember, consistency is the key. It's not the depth of pressure that prepares the connective tissue for using the other balls and for shearing. Slowly work the ball all the way to the back of your heel, and then work your way back to position point number 5. Once you come back to position point number 5, tighten the wiggle and create the shear. Remember, small, local, consistent pressure, that's what's going to stimulate this fluid exchange, and then take a focused breath and wait. Decompress. Now let's go with either the small soft or the small firm ball. I'm going to use the small firm ball to repeat position point pressing. Remember, if this ball feels too firm for you, you're going to use that small soft ball. Bring the ball under position point number 1 and shift your body weight left to right. Nice and gentle, easy compression. Remember, don't cause pain, and if you can't find tolerable pressure and you're using that little firm ball, I want you to go to that soft little ball instead. Sustain your pressure, and again, move your body around and let your autopilot reacquire its signal to your center of gravity now that you have that most focal position point compression using the little ball. Come on back up. Take a focused breath. Now, when you're using the little ball, I want you to step off the ball entirely to release, to go to the next point. That way you'll never have 100% of your body weight on the ball. Bring the ball to position point number 2, and when you're ready, compress the ball straight down. And then decompress. Try to find the knuckle that coincides with your second toe and create compression. And decompress. Remember, if you don't want to step forward with your whole body weight, if you're using the firm ball, you can also just bend your knee and allow some of your body weight to go over the ball as you start to use this firmer ball. Position point number 2, underneath that pinky knuckle, make sure that you bring the ball back a little deeper to identify that point, and then decompress. Go to position point number 3A. Now, if it's the first time you're using this small, firm ball, I want you to bring the ball all the way to the edge of your foot so you really line it up between the big toe and your heel. And then slowly lift your foot and start to tap the ball in. And what you'll find is a firm piece of tissue. So it will be soft, soft, and then firm. Once you find that firm point, try to create compression. Now remember, this might be a sensitive area. I call this the wasabi point. Kind of really makes your eyes open up. So ease the compression in and then decompress. Go to the upper number 3B, just behind the knuckle of the big toe, and create compression. That's the tendon that causes a bunion, and for a lot of us, it's very dehydrated. So ease into the pressure. Decompress. Try to find position point number 4. Now again, if you want, tap the ball in so that you get to the point that I'm looking for. So it's not at the edge of the foot. It kind of sinks into a groove and then create the pressure. So it's really going to disappear under the foot. And then decompress, and now go to position point number 5 and create that gentle compression. Take a focused breath and let it go. Let's try glide, shear, and rinse with the large, firm ball. Again, you can go back to using the large, soft ball if you're not ready to use this ball just yet. Bring your heel behind the ball and find position point number 1. Create tolerable pressure on the ball and begin with an indirect shear by curling your toes in and opening your toes and wiggle. Try that 3 to 5 times, curling the toes in like a fist, letting the toes release, and wiggling them. You can still do this even with the soft ball. Your toes will just be closer to the ground. One more time, curl the toes in and open the toes and wiggle. Take a focused breath and give the tissue a moment to adapt, and then release and bring the ball of your forefoot to the ground. Bring the ball to position point number 5, and let's go with a glide. All the way from position point 5 to your heel, you're slowly going to travel the ball left to right. I want you to bring the ball all the way to the back of your heel. And remember, if you're using the large firm ball, you can really start to identify dehydration around the heel. We want to get rid of that as we continue to do the foot treatments daily. Bring the ball back to position point number 5, and let's do our direct shear, creating that nice, small, local compression technique, keeping the ball in an isolated place. Take a nice focused breath, wait there for a moment, and let it go. Now let's rinse from the big toe across the forefoot to the pinky toe. Decompress, go back to the big toe, and travel across the forefoot. Again, you can be doing this with the soft, large ball. You don't need to use the firm ball, but if you can, remember, it's not the depth of pressure that's going to make the rinsing work. It's consistency. Now go from your toe to your heel, stepping over the ball so that the other hip doesn't get tired from you having to balance on one leg to do the rinsing motion. Remember, with this firm ball, it's a more accurate type of compression because the ball doesn't diffuse any pressure. So don't go too deep where you inflict any pain. Just create that nice, consistent, straight down motion with your rinse. Try it one more time. And let's do friction. Nice and light, create that nice light vibrational motion. Remember, no pressure when you do friction. It's just about random motions, very light for the skin. Take a nice focused breath and let it go. Let's set that ball aside and let's reassess what happens when you do all of the techniques under the feet. Use your body sense, line your feet up side by side, and close your eyes. I want you to, again, tune into your body and notice the footprints on the floor. Notice what that right foot feels like. Ideally, it feels more rooted into the ground. If you scan up both legs, on the leg we haven't melted yet, you might notice that you're very aware of the absence of fluid in the joints of your legs. When there's no hydration in our joints, we can really notice that we feel a hip, a knee, and an ankle. But on the leg that you melt, ideally, again, it's more seamless and rooted to the floor. Open up your eyes. Let's also try a spine flex assessment and see if we've drawn the fluids past the hip and into the spine. That is the ultimate resolve of the full foot treatment, is to restore fluid throughout the entire body. Bring your hands onto your thighs and slowly round your body down until your fingertips hit your knees. Once you're here, slightly soften your knees and round through your spine and let your arms dangle. Take a focused breath and look at your hands. If you tip your fingers back, notice if your right arm looks like it's reaching longer than your left. If you're noticing that, we've created fluid exchange up to the spine. If you're not noticing it, hinge at your hips, and I also want you to become aware of what connective tissue does to the muscle's flexibility when it's hydrated. When connective tissue is hydrated, it gives the muscles more seamless integrity. Whereas when it's dehydrated, remember, you might feel more pull in your calf and way up in the upper hamstring. It will feel more segmented in its pull. Soften your knees, take your time, and round yourself up. Did you notice an arm reach change? Can you feel the difference in the back of your legs? Let's do the whole thing on the other foot. Start with the soft ball. Remember, you'll bring the ball to position point number 1, and you'll bring your feet side by side, and just begin to shift your body weight gently from right to left. Remember, each time you ease body weight into the ball, you don't want to cause pain. Notice if this foot feels more tender than the other side as you prepare the tissue for compression. Take a focused breath and begin to slowly move your body around and help your autopilot reacquire its signal from the arch of your foot up to your pelvis and through to the top of your head. Come back to a center point. Take your right foot and step backward, and let's go through position point pressing using the large soft ball. Create the compression on position point number 2 underneath the ball of the big toe. Decompress, find your second knuckle, and create compression. Remember, as you do position point pressing, look down at the knuckles. Ideally, even with the soft, large ball, we actually get mobilization of the joints. So really take a look and see if the joints are moving or not. When joints are stiff, this is a problem for performance. Let's try to find position point 3A on the inside arch of your foot, halfway between the big toe and the heel. Decompress, find the upper number 3B just behind the big toe mount. And then decompress, find position point 4 on the outside arch of your foot. Take a focused breath, decompress, and find position point number 5, just in front of your heel. Decompress half of your body weight so that you're balanced on both feet and start your glide. Remember, gliding is that consistent motion in 2 directions in a local region, which is your heel. So let's slowly work that ball all the way to the back of the heel, and then all the way back to position point number 5. And let's do a direct shear at position point 5 with the large soft ball. This will also prepare us for the direct shear and the indirect shear that we're going to do with the large firm ball. Take a focused breath and wait. Decompress. Let's get that little ball. So remember, you pick, either you're going to use the firm small ball or the soft one. You pick and bring that ball underneath position point number 1. Once you get there, again, begin to shift your body weight left to right. Remember, don't cause pain. This ball will go deep if you put all of your body weight onto it, and it is not necessary for you to put 100% body weight on any of the balls as you do the treatment. Just find tolerable compression, and let's start to move our body around and help our nervous system and autopilot reacquire its connection to our center of gravity. Take a nice focused breath and come on back up to standing. Remember, when you're using the small balls, I want you to decompress the ball entirely to go to the next position point, being right underneath the ball of the big toe, position point number 2. Create gentle compression, take a focused breath, and decompress. Go to the second knuckle. And when you're using either of these small balls, you should really see the knuckles rise up in the footbed because the small balls offer more accuracy in the position points. And this will really mobilize the joints and bring new hydration to the tissue that really does become dehydrated just from normal living. Go to position point number 3 on the inside arch of your foot, halfway between your big toe and your heel. And remember, you can tap the ball in so that you become very accurate at exactly where you want to create the pressure. Create the compression. Take a focused breath and then decompress. Bring the ball up just a little higher to position point 3B and create compression. And decompress. Position point number 4 on the outside arch of your foot. Create that gentle pressure and decompress. And let's try to find position point number 5, just in front of the heel. Take one more focused breath and decompress. That can be kind of intense when you're using the little firm ball. Let's go to the large firm ball. Remember, you're gonna bring your heel behind the ball and drop your foot and relax it so that the ball lands at position point number 1. Remember, if you're not ready to use this large firm ball, you're still staying with the large soft ball instead. Create tolerable pressure just by slightly leaning forward to find the pressure you want to sustain, and then stand straight up and keep that same pressure. And let's start with the indirect shear by curling our toes in and opening the toes and wiggle. Remember, every once in a while, look down at your foot and notice if your toes don't really move at all. A lot of us have actually lost the movement of our toes and we wonder why we have neck, hip, and knee pain. It's actually a problem with our grounding. So notice if those toes don't move anymore. Curl the toes in one more time and open the toes and wiggle. Wait there for a second. Give the tissue a second to adapt. And then bring all of your toes down to the ground, set the ball to position point number 5, and again, begin gliding. Remember, when you're using the large firm ball, as you go back and forth over your heel, if you're feeling a flipping structure, like somebody's put a pencil in the middle of your heel, or feels like you've got grains of rice in your heel, that is what happens when connective tissue is chronically dehydrated. It loses its sponginess and resilience, and this can cause both neck, hip, knee, shoulder, ankle pain. It really is one of the primary things that hurts us as we get older. Slowly work the ball all the way back to position point number 5 and then tighten up the wiggle. Try that nice tight shear force. Take a focused breath and wait. Let's rinse. So remember, we'll start with the cross rinsing from your big toe all the way across to the pinky toe. Watch how I kind of cheat the ball. I curve my foot so that the ball stays underneath all of my knuckles from the big toe all the way to the pinky toe. Now let's try the rinse from toe to heel. Remember, as you go down the foot, I want you to keep your pressure constant. So if you keep your knees soft, and as you go over the foot, once you hit the middle of your foot, if you just start to step over the ball, you're gonna create more consistent pressure throughout the whole base of the foot, and this is what's gonna create the fill effect all the way up to your head and to your shoulders. Let's try 2 more rinsing passes. And one more time. Let's go with our friction. Nice and light, keep your balance, and create that nice frictional motion. Remember, you'll go back and forth twice with friction, and this is your go-to technique. You can always just do friction on both of your feet and not do any of the other techniques. And at least in the day, you'd be stimulating the lymphatic system, which is another fluid-based system that junk dumps waste out of our body from day to day. Help that system work more efficiently and just do friction every day. Take a nice focused breath and set the ball aside. Let's reassess and see if we've created any changes in our body. Bring your feet side by side, bring your arms at your side, and close your eyes. Take a focused breath. Notice your footprints. Ideally now, the footprints really feel grounded to the floor. Scan up your legs. Ideally now, your legs feel more relaxed and eased in the position of standing. Maybe your knees aren't locked out at all. If you draw your awareness back down to your feet, if before you were feeling like your feet felt staggered front to back, ideally now they're balanced from side to side. Finally, lift all 10 toes. Let's notice what your autopilot has done with this new hydration. If you lift your toes, remember, if you shift back faster than you did the first time, that is not a bad sign. That is a good sign that you've created new frequency and vibration for your autopilot to acquire that balance for you more efficiently. Your body's just got to organize that new vibration. Take a focused breath. On an exhale, drop all 10 toes to the ground. Notice if you drift or not. Open up your eyes. Remember, if you feel less drifting now, we've reacquired some new information for your autopilot to use so that you can stay more balanced and stable from day to day and live pain-free.